The year is 1647. Listen closely to the silence. In the narrow, frozen alleyways of London, a biting cold seeps through the cracks of every timber-framed house. A grey fog, thick and heavy, hangs low over the River Thames, clinging to the masts of silent ships. But the air is strangely empty. There are no church bells ringing out their joyful peals across the rooftops, no sounds of carols carried on the winter wind. There is only the low whistle of the breeze through the bare trees, and the damp chill of a city holding its breath. We often dream of Christmas as a timeless tradition, a constant beacon in the darkest part of the year. But deep in the forgotten archives of history, there was a winter where the music stopped, where the festive fire was not just dampened, but deliberately extinguished, and the long, cold night was reclaimed by the harsh decree of a new and stricter age. Before this silence fell, however, the roots of winter celebration ran deep, stretching back into the very soil of the ancient world. Let us drift back, further and further, to the heart of the Roman Empire. Here, in the final days of December, the city of Rome would erupt into the festival of Saturnalia. Imagine the chaos, the sheer unbridled joy. The rigid social order of the empire was turned completely on its head. Masters served their slaves, courts and schools were closed, and a king of Saturnalia was chosen by a roll of the dice to preside over the revelry. The streets, normally disciplined and orderly, were filled with the light of countless candles, their flickering flames a defiant gesture against the encroaching winter darkness. It was a time of feasting, of gift-giving, and of a raw, unrestrained freedom that laid the foundational blueprint for so many of the December festivities that would follow. It was a recognition that even in the most powerful empire on earth, humanity needed a moment to release, to celebrate, and to find light in the gloom. Far from the marble forums of Rome, in the deep, snow-laden forests of Scandinavia, another tradition burned just as brightly against the cold. Here, the Norse people faced the longest and darkest nights of the year with a ritual of fire and hope. Picture a small village, nestled among towering pines, the roofs of its longhouses heavy with snow. As the winter solstice approached, a great log, chosen with care, would be hauled from the forest. This was the Yule log. It was carved with runes, anointed with wine, and set ablaze in the central hearth. Its fire was not just for warmth. It was a powerful symbol, a spark of the sun's returning strength. It was a promise that the endless night would not last forever, that the light would return, and that life would triumph over the cold. Families would gather around its crackling flames, telling stories, sharing meals, and finding comfort in the shared light. A ritual of resilience meant to ward off not just the physical cold, but the spiritual darkness of the deep winter. This deep-seated human need for a midwinter festival, for light and warmth and community, is precisely what made its absence so profound. By the mid-17th century, England was in the grip of Puritan rule under Oliver Cromwell. To these devout and austere reformers, the celebrations of Christmas were not seen as harmless fun, but as a wasteful, decadent, and fundamentally pagan tradition. They saw the ghost of Saturnalia in the feasting and the echo of Norse ritual in the Yule logs. And so, in an act that seems almost unthinkable to us now, Parliament officially banned the celebration of Christmas. This was not a mere suggestion. It was the law of the land, enforced with unnerving seriousness. Soldiers, loyal to the new government, would patrol the streets of cities like London on Christmas Day. Their mission? To sniff the very air for the forbidden, savory scent of a roasting goose. Imagine the scene. A family, gathered in secret, the windows shuttered tight, attempting to share a festive meal, only to be interrupted by the heavy knock of a soldier at the door. Finding such a meal was grounds for immediate confiscation and even arrest. Decorations were torn down, church services were forbidden, and the simple act of sharing a Christmas pie became an act of civil disobedience. Visually, the contrast is stark. We can see it in the historical record. Faded, hand-drawn maps of 17th century London show the labyrinthine streets where these patrols took place. In rough, dramatic woodcuts from the era, we see soldiers dismantling festive greenery, their faces grim and determined as they pull down holly and ivy from public houses. The images are cold, monochrome, and severe, reflecting the puritanical mood of the time. But then, if we leap forward 200 years, the picture transforms entirely. We find ourselves in the warm, golden-hued world of Victorian England. Here, in glowing oil paintings and early photographs, we see the Christmas we recognize. Families gathered around elaborately decorated fir trees, their faces illuminated by candlelight. Streets bustling with shoppers, their arms full of gifts. The air is thick, not with suspicion, but with the joyful steam of roasted chestnuts and the sound of carolers. The cold, gray silence of Cromwell's England has been replaced by a manufactured warmth, a nostalgic glow that would come to define the holiday for the modern world. And here lies the great truth, the surprising twist in the story of Christmas. The traditional Christmas that we hold so dear, the one we often imagine stretching back in an unbroken line for centuries, was largely an invention. It was a deliberate creation of the Victorian era, beginning around the 1840s. Faced with the harsh realities of the Industrial Revolution, overcrowded cities, grueling factory work, and a fraying social fabric, the Victorians began to look to the past with a powerful sense of nostalgia. But the past they yearned for, a cozy, merry old England of feasts and goodwill, had never truly existed in that form. So, they manufactured it. Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's German husband, popularized the Christmas tree. The first Christmas card was sent in 1843. Charles Dickens, with his timeless story, A Christmas Carol, didn't just capture the spirit of Christmas. He helped to codify it, cementing the ideas of family togetherness, charity, and festive feasting as the cornerstones of the holiday. They were, in essence, creating a beautiful myth, a comforting story to tell themselves in a time of great and unsettling change. In the end, what this long, winding history reveals is a fundamental human truth. The name may change, the rituals may evolve, and the very legality of it may shift with the political winds, but the need remains the same. From the chaotic joy of Saturnalia to the defiant fire of the Yule log, from the secret feasts of Puritan England to the gilded nostalgia of the Victorians, we have always sought a light in the middle of winter. We have always felt the deep, instinctual need to gather together, to share what we have, and to create a small circle of warmth against the encroaching darkness. It is a tradition far older than any single religion or culture, a quiet but persistent pulse that beats in the heart of humanity. A reminder that even in the longest, coldest night, we have always found a reason to hope for the dawn, fading now into a peaceful, snowy silence.